Hey there, my name is James Lee. Welcome to my channel 5149, where I talk business, politics, and society. And today I want to talk about what the heck is going on. Part 2, did one of these a few months back. I specifically chose this kind of amorphous title as not to trigger any type of content infraction on YouTube. But honestly, in general, I'm not big on using my channel to talk about the pandemic, specifically in regards to public health policymaking, because it's such a polarizing and divisive topic. But once in a while, I do think it's important enough of an issue to at least try and at the very least examine the obvious institutional, and by that I mean the people and agencies with real power. But yeah, I want to examine the institutional hypocrisies, the seemingly kind of nonsensical, non-scientific decisions that have been made to hopefully help us figure out what the heck is really going on.
We should be doing the things that we know work when you're dealing with a pandemic virus. It's not the time to panic. We should be concerned, and our concern should spur us to do the things that we know work. So rather than, as you say, freaking out, and rather than panicking, just do the right thing.
Doing the right thing. See, that message right there is already way too difficult and ambiguous a statement to really be meaningful, because to some, doing the right thing is social distancing, masking, getting a vaccine, but to others, it's the exact opposite. But officially, doing the right thing is probably synonymous with
we follow the science.
Now, the problem here, according to Dr. Vinay Prasad, a hematologist, oncologist, and assistant professor at UCSF, is that follow the science is a broken and empty slogan.
Now, why is follow the science insufficient for policy making? Well, it's not that science has nothing to tell us. Science is an extremely valuable tool. And science can help you articulate the trade-offs. It can help you figure out, if you did this, what are the pros and what are the cons and what are the magnitudes of those pros and cons? And if you did that, what are the pros and the cons and what are the magnitudes of that? But it can't answer the question of what you ought to do. Science can just delineate trade-offs, but it can't tell you which trade-offs are worth accepting and which are not worth accepting. And throughout this pandemic, we have forgotten that follow the science has been hijacked as a slogan to mean follow the policy preferences of elite professors at universities who themselves can live lives on Zoom. I feel like that's what it means to me. That's what follow the science means. Follow my policy preferences. That's not an appropriate slogan.
I think that's spot on. Follow the science, unfortunately, is inextricably tied to and couched in policies favored by the elites, the powerful, and the wealthy. I'll try to give you a pertinent example here in this video in light of the new Omicron variant that's circulating worldwide. By the way, not a hot take here or anything, but I think we're definitely going to run out of Greek letters before this is all over. Anyway, every expert will say that immunizing unvaccinated people is a far more effective means of controlling COVID-19 than giving a booster to those who are already vaccinated. So, setting aside the issue of vaccine hesitancy, if we're just talking about following the science, we should be trying to do just that. But the reality is that that's not really the guiding principle in how our leaders are making decisions. The fact is, the US has bought enough coronavirus vaccines for 3 times its adult population, 1.3 billion doses in all. So yes, the United States will end up with many more doses than it actually needs. And that's according to the Washington Post. And quite honestly, I'm grateful to be a citizen of a wealthy country who has access to all these different vaccines. But if our leaders were consistent with doing what they preach, doing the right thing, we should be donating as many doses as we can to developing countries that don't have access to these life-saving vaccines. Quote, we will only prevent variants from emerging if we are able to protect all of the world's population, not just the wealthy parts, said Seth Berkley, CEO of Gavi, the organization co-leading the COVAX Vaccine Equity Initiative, in an emailed statement. We advocated, begged, pleaded that high-income countries share doses, support trips and local production of vaccines on the continent. They largely refused, tweeted Ayoade Alakija, who co-chairs the African Union's COVID-19 Vaccine Delivery Alliance. This was inevitable but completely avoidable. Travel bans are not the answer. Urgently vaccinating the world is, she wrote Friday. So yeah, vaccine access is the answer according to science. Then to me, it's pretty clear by that definition, our leaders aren't necessarily focused on doing the right thing. At the very least, there are other competing priorities. Big pharma lobbyists launch campaign against Biden over COVID vaccine patent waiver. The lobbying group that represents several top pharmaceutical companies last month quietly launched a campaign against Joe Biden's decision to support waiving intellectual property protections for COVID-19 vaccines. Not at all a surprise there, but don't keep saying it's about following the science when there are clearly other interests driving our public policy making. It's kind of frustrating to see, but there are scientists in South Africa right now working on trying to reverse engineer the Moderna vaccine. What the heck is going on here? We have this figured out. The recipe, it's created. Science has won, but it's not really all about the science, is it? Pfizer, which did not accept U.S. government development subsidies, but secured a nearly $2 billion deal last year to support doses to the country before its COVID vaccine was cleared, is likely to reap $26 billion in sales this year from the shot. Moderna, after benefiting from an estimated $4.1 billion in U.S. support, expects to record about $19 billion in vaccine sales in 2021. Next year, that sum could surge to at least $36 billion, according to Bloomberg Intelligence. And therein lies sort of the eternal truth right there. Beyond these slogans like doing what's right, following the science is perhaps the most accurate of all slogans. Let's make money. One thing I keep wondering about, we have all these doses here in America. If we don't want to donate them, we ideally still want to use them, right? And then I came across something really interesting. The Biden administration, which has promised and encouraged booster shots for months, is facing an uncomfortable reality. A campaign for boosters might be the best thing they can do at this stage of the pandemic, especially given who's most likely to heed guidance from federal officials. I don't think this was necessarily the intended takeaway that the writer of the article had in mind, but something you can kind of infer from this is that they got all these doses they need to use, and they're having a hard time convincing those who are still unvaccinated to get vaccinated. So maybe let's just give another shot to those who have already gotten vaccinated because they'll likely go along with it, which is why so many scientists have been so baffled or even upset by the Biden administration's decision to prioritize booster shots. Because once again, it's not really a decision that's driven by science. There are obvious other priorities being considered. Same goes for the recent travel ban of several South African countries in response to the Omicron variant, to which Biden explained that, quote, it gives us time to take more actions to move quicker. Okay, maybe a travel ban could make sense, not saying it doesn't, but right now Omicron has been detected in the UK, Netherlands, Australia, along with Botswana, Belgium, Germany, Israel, Italy, Hong Kong, and the Czech Republic. Basically every continent, probably in the US as well. So what the heck is going on here? Could it be that the administration is factoring in the different diplomatic relationships that we have with these countries when deciding which ones go on the travel ban list and which ones do not? Could these bans be, quote, akin to punishing South Africa for its advanced genomic sequencing and the ability to detect new variants quicker? That's kind of like the opposite of following the science. So I guess my point is nobody seems to really want to be fully transparent. The GOP is out there politicizing the issue, talking about whatever it is they talk about, unfortunately radicalizing their base beyond even their control or comprehension.
In your freedoms, I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine.
And then we have the Democrats who are currently in power, who have kind of hijacked science to deflect from some of the ugly truths of being a corporate-backed party with priorities beyond simply
just do the right thing.
That's it for this week. I hope this video helped you make sense of what the heck is going on, at least a little bit. This is a topic I'm always a little bit wary to talk about, but I think it's an important topic. I think it's important to dive into it from time to time, so I appreciate you for listening. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. I'm always super excited to read and respond to your messages. If you support what I do here, please click on that like button, share this video, consider subscribing and clicking on that notification bell so I can keep making more videos. Let me know what you want to hear about. As always, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next week.